Digital Pilipinas, bringing together the world's industry leaders in a multi-month movement of innovation and nation building to solve the country's age-old problems with technology. Technology can be our nation's strength and advantage as we showcase Filipino tech expertise to make a lasting impact on the country, influence change, and foster inclusion through technology and innovation across local and global spheres. To do this, Digital Pilipinas champions a 12-point agenda that provides solutions while leveraging on ICT-driven opportunities. FinTech, GovTech, and RegTech. PropTech. Digital transformation. Overseas Filipino banking. Future of mobility. InsurTech. E-commerce. Cybersecurity. Internet of Energy. Future of education, digital cities, gaming. The 12-point agenda will be our guiding star as we trade with trust, encourage cross-border collaborations, e-commerce, open finance, and work hand-in-hand with national and global tech leaders. Digital Pilipinas is a legacy in the making. In 2019, Amor Maclang, FinTech Philippines Executive Director, and Geyser Maclang Marketing Communications Incorporated co-founder, led the Philippine delegation in the Singapore FinTech Festival. In 2020, the country joined the ranks of emerging leaders in the largest event for global tech innovators, the World FinTech Festival. Now, Ms. Maclang, the appointed convener of the World FinTech Festival Philippines, is taking it a step further by gathering the brightest minds to establish the roadmap of the country's technological future with Digital Pilipinas. In the coming months, we will create the Digital Pilipinas Blueprint. It is a whole-of-nation, whole-of-society, whole-of-business approach with national leaders, foreign partners, and the private sector. Filipinos are at the heart of the ASEAN digital revolution, with Asia as the sandbox of innovations. With Digital Pilipinas, our nation will collectively break barriers, tech up industries, and go beyond what seemed to be impossible before. Watch out for our different events and programs in the following months featuring Business Without Borders, Real Estate and PropTech, EduTech, InsurTech and HealthTech, Environment and Sustainability, Diversity and Inclusion, Esports and Gaming, Cyber Defense and Cybersecurity. Get ready to join our biggest initiatives during the Global Impact FinTech ASEAN Conference, the Risky Business Series, the World FinTech Festival Reduxes, the Singapore FinTech Festival, the Next Generation Leaders Conference, culminating in the launch of the World FinTech Festival Philippines in November. Join the movement and be part of the country's digital revolution. Contact us by email and through our Facebook pages to learn more and be part of the Whole of Nation, Whole of Society platform for global and local prosperity. Digital Pilipinas is supported by the following partners and prime movers in innovation and nation building from the government and private sectors. Join the movement today. Mabuhay tayong lahat. Mabuhay ang Digital Pilipinas.
Thank you, Mr. Tapiador, and to all our panelists for that exciting conversation. There must be many online MSME owners with us today who can't wait to elevate their businesses with tech after the World FinTech Festival. The next generation sees monetary assets differently. Gone are the days of working a 9-to-5 and saving from one stream of income for a retirement fund. With all the opportunities and new money pouring into the financial ecosystem, the youth have new rules and metrics of success. Our next panel is going to try and look through the lens of new money to see what's in store in the future of financial assets. Your moderator for this panel is Edison Tai, the Executive Director of Sedent Technology Incorporated.
Thank you for the introduction. I hope you all are just as excited as I am to put on some new money glasses for this panel and explore what makes the next generation financially tick. We have a nice and diverse set of reactors joining us today, which should make for some interesting conversation. Join me in welcoming to the screen Director Mel Plabasan, Director of Risk and Innovation Supervisor Department, at Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Welcome, sir, and we would like to hear some words from you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Edison. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And as you know, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has always strived to learn about the possibilities of new technologies and how they can help us deliver our mandate, be it, let's say, in the form of, let's say, promoting financial stability or enhancing safety and efficiency of payment system, or probably even financial inclusion. And when we speak about the future of money, of course, cryptocurrency comes to mind, but from a regulatory perspective, we are now veering away from calling them currency or money because, there's a legal and technical connotation when it comes to cryptocurrency, because to currency, to the use of the word currency, because they somehow I mean, this means that it is backed by the government, and as you know, most of these mainstream cryptocurrencies are not backed by the government. And also, I'll be tackling about government issued CBDC, central bank digital currency, which is of interest to the BSP right now. And if I may also touch on the play to earn tokens, which of course consistent with our risk-based and activity-based and risk-focused supervision. Right now, since these are confined within these gaming platforms, these are not yet covered or not yet within the purview of the BSP regulatory authority. But of course, if in the future they may evolve and it can be used for other use cases like payment remittance or other financial and payment use cases, they may need to be regulated by the BSP. And we are also cognizant of the fact that some of these virtual assets are within payments and remittance. That's why we also recognize that those that can be used for, let's say, raising funds or a security are also fall within the purview of the Securities and Exchange Commission. And of course, when it comes to CBDC, we have already done research about CBDC, particularly the focus is really on the current payment system landscape. What are the different privately issued digital currencies, and what are the business models associated with this currency. And we will continue to do our research and possibly to broaden the coverage of the areas, and also be mindful that we need to build our capacity, and we really need to answer the question if there is really a need for BSP to issue its own CBDC. That's all. Thanks, Edison.
Thank you, Director Mel. Next, we have Mr. Jay Villarente, Chairman of Moneybees. Jay, would you like to have a few words?
Yes, hi Edison. Good afternoon. I am Jay
Afternoon.
Villarante. I'm the chairman of Moneybees. So Moneybees is a licensed cryptocurrency exchange. We're regulated by Sir Mel's group. We are happily complying with all the regulations on virtual currency exchanges, and in fact, we're doing more. Right now, we're connected to chain analysis. We're tracking the transaction where the cryptocurrencies are going. So we report to the central bank if there are transactions going to the darknet, for example, and we're trying to also expand our cybersecurity services, not just for the fintech industry, but for the MSME in general. So that's what we're doing right now.
Thank you, Jay. And next, we have Mr. Nichelle Gaba, CEO and founder of PDAX. Hello, Nichelle.
Hello, Edison. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to speak with all of you. And we're very excited to talk about all the innovation that's taking place in the Philippines, particularly in the digital asset space. Earlier, we heard from the members of the regulators, the central bank, and as the exchange in the Philippines, we echo the sentiments shared by the BSP. And in fact, here in the Philippines, we're seeing a lot of adoption of digital assets and blockchain technology, not just in cryptocurrency trading or NFTs or in play-to-earn use cases, but also even in traditional financial products and services. The Philippines, as one of the largest inward remittance corridors in the world, is benefiting a lot from the use of blockchain and digital assets in facilitating cross-border transfers. Here in the Philippines, we're also using blockchain technology to make traditional securities more accessible to Filipinos. And on top of that, crypto trading has become very popular and mainstream here in the Philippines, thanks to use cases such as play to earn, where Filipinos with who are earning incomes of minimum wage or lower are now able to take part in the metaverse and replace their day-to-day incomes. PDAX is an exchange that strives to make financial products and services more accessible to the Filipino, are working very closely with our partners in the ecosystem, including the regulatory bodies, to make sure that we innovate responsibly and make sure that Filipinos have access to grow their wealth. Thank you.
Thank you, Nichelle. Very well said. And we have finally we have Mr. Carl Mack, CEO and co-founder of Hepmill Media Group. Hello,
Hi,
Carl.
everyone. Hi, Edison. Thanks for the introduction. My name is Carl. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Hepmill Media Group. We, as a group, we own and operate a couple of social media platforms that produce a lot of content that reaches millennials all around the Southeast Asia region. Particularly in the Philippines, we own a platform called PGAC, where we make a lot of content and we work with a lot of content creators under our creator network, especially so in the esports arena, where we help esports teams and gaming creators monetize through AdSense as well as branded content. So I'm really excited about this panel, really, because we've seen the explosion of play-to-earn games. We've also seen the explosion of tokenization for some of the content creators out there globally, where they're making a huge living off their original creations via NFTs, as well as being a content creator in itself has allowed them to build a massive community and fan base where they can monetize some of this work that they're doing on the content space. So it's extremely exciting right now in this industry, and I'm just happy to be sharing a panel with a lot of experts that fill the entire ecosystem. So we're really glad to be here.
Thank you, Carl. And what an interesting topic for today. And it's how the new money looks at the future of money. And this is, without further ado, I would like to start with the first question. In terms of regulation, this is a question for Director Mel, by the way. Regulation, non-regulation, or creation of enabling regulation provided by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has been instrumental to the growth of cryptocurrency, such as play-to-earn or game fee. What are the watch-outs when playing in this space from a regulatory perspective?
Yeah. Thanks, Edison. By the way, just to clarify, and as mentioned in my earlier statement, play to earn, gaming tokens like those being used in play to earn online games are currently not within the purview of BSP, unless of course they are utilized for financial and payment use cases. Of course, nevertheless, the prevalence of play to earn online games has given many Filipinos alternative sources of income, and of course renewed appreciation for technology and digital services. And of course, for us, we feel that this is a welcome opportunity for growth and advancement in the country. To answer your question, however, it is extremely important to remind the public. I would mention three things. First is they need to stay mindful of the risk, particularly on the price volatility, because this may expose them to enormous financial loss. Second, they need to have adequate knowledge of the mechanics of this play-to-earn online games, particularly on how to secure their holdings. And lastly, also this is for us, it's important that they should be wary of the accompanying challenges in enforcing legal recourse against companies that are registered outside the country, or those that are not regulated by local authorities, because there may be challenges, especially when it comes to disputes and redress mechanism.
Thank you, Director Mel. And the next question is for Nichelle. The largest virtual currency exchange in the world has been banned in major markets, such as the UK, for its inability to be monitored. What makes the Philippines experience different and possibly safer?
Well, I think as with any new emerging technology, and we will encounter these challenges. And we're not just talking about one piece of innovative technology. We're talking about kind of technology that will revolutionize day-to-day life. So this is something that's pretty big, and I can't probably emphasize that point enough. That as fast and as fast paced and as mainstream cryptocurrency currently seems to be, we are still in the very early stages, and regulators at one point will also be able to catch up and write rules. Now, that being said, writing rules, understanding an industry and writing rules and enforcing rules are are not easy to do, or very difficult things. Think of it this way: when cars were first emerging, it was very difficult to come up with the rules of the road, or like the infrastructure, or standardizing fuel and so forth, before the innovation actually catches up and be applied on a mass scale. So obviously, it will always be a balancing act. It's certainly understandable that in more developed markets, institutions are more sophisticated and rules are much more clearly defined, which has led to, I guess, enforcement actions on a lot of these players. In the Philippines, where we stand to benefit a lot from what this new technology brings, and we also have very progressive a very progressive government and regulatory agencies, we're probably more able to work hand in hand towards bringing all of these into the mainstream safely for the Filipinos.
Thank you, Nichelle. Next up, Carl. Esports has awkwardly been classified as either gaming or entertainment. What support from the government by way of enabling regulations do we need to grow the esports market to the level of, let's say, South Korea?
Thanks for the question. Well, I think first of all, we need to think about the infrastructure, right? So in the arena of either gaming or esports, the first thing we need is internet, right? High-speed internet access, as well as being low cost. I think it's one of the critical parts of laying the foundation for people to come online, to spend time gaming. And I think we've seen that explosion, especially in mobile gaming in Philippines, where you have games like Mobile Legends that has really taken the nation by storm, simply because of accessibility from an infrastructure perspective, from having low-cost mobile phones to low-cost and fast internet via 4G speeds has allowed young gamers all across the Philippines to join in and play, right? I think that's definitely something to keep looking out for as we move to 5G, with the sort of the mobile phone companies also offering more accessible, more powerful mobile phones that will actually give more access. And I think where we need to see more progress on is probably on the competitiveness of the telco industry, where hopefully cost continues to come down, as what we're seeing globally, where more people can come online to play. I think the second thing is that the industry is aspirational by nature. So for example, if you grow up as a young kid in the 90s and you watch the NBA, you would want to become a basketball player. You spend all your time playing basketball outside of school, or maybe even skipping school to be a PBA star. I think the same thing is going to happen in esports, where you see the rise of local heroes that we've already witnessed in the Philippines, with Bren winning the M2 World Championship last year in Singapore, as well as Blacklist winning local MPL tournaments this year. I think a lot of young Filipino kids are going to grow up wanting to be esports stars, and I think it is really in the interest of the regulators to really promote and celebrate the local heroes that are being born, so that there can be more aspirational, a wave of aspirations where young people really look up to and worship their local heroes, which is something that fuels what you would see as the growth of esports. And lastly, I would see the partnerships that the government can host together with international tournaments being held in Manila or within the country, also having the developers sort of partner them in rolling out some of these games. We all heard of the regulations in China, for example, where young people can no longer play for that many hours a day. And I think that is naturally going to swing a lot of momentum to Southeast Asia, not just in play to earn type of games, but regular mobile games as well are being looked at across Southeast Asia. And keep in mind, Philippines is one of the biggest Southeast Asian countries with a unanimous understanding and use of the language of English, for example, which makes it really appealing for developers to think about the Philippines as a country as infrastructure develops. I think these are the things that we think about in the industry.
Thank you, Carl. And definitely this is an area of growth that is a lot of youth are into. And with the global gaming industry worth over 163.1 billion US dollars, what are some of the opportunities for fintech to enter the space and thrive, particularly when looking at payments within games? So this is a question for Jay.
For us, we're constantly looking for ways on how crypto and esports can work together. Some of my partners are actually in esports when they invested in cryptocurrency. Bren is one of our partners, and we're right now we're integrating with some of the esports games to accept cryptocurrencies into their platform, and a lot of esports now are also exploring ways on how to do virtual to tokenize their virtual merchandise, and it's very interesting because we can see now the growth of NFT games, and it's booming right now. There's a lot of opportunities there, and also there's a lot of risk that comes with that innovation. And for example, recently Axie Infinity reported that there was a hack that happened, and games now are no longer the same as before. It's no longer Pac-Man or Mario, where if your account gets hacked, then it's nothing. Now, if your account gets hacked, real money gets stolen, and so it's very important for the crypto industry to also impart their experience on cybersecurity and making sure these esports platforms are also secured.
Definitely, Jay. And that brings my question back to Carl. What is the biggest difference between the older generation and the new generation when it comes to making money? How has tech played a role in creating this difference?
Great question. I think if you think about the traditional notion of a job or how to get a job, you would think about going to university, getting a degree in accounting, engineering, finance, and getting a job, working your way up the corporate ladder, not taking risks and securing your financial stability or financial freedom. I think that is what jobs especially in Asia, your Asian parents would be telling you, please get a job, right? But I think even in Web 2.0, right, if you think about content creators that we work a lot with, a lot of them come straight out of school, or maybe they're still in school and they've built a followership on social media, on TikTok, on YouTube, and they're earning brand money. They're getting gigs, they're selling merch, they're getting AdSense on YouTube and getting paid a very steady stream of income. That's a real job to them. That's a very, very stable source of income that allows them to build a bright future, right? So we think about Web 2.0, it's already beginning, what we call the creator renaissance, where people are creating so much content, so much more than we've ever seen before. And if you think about Web 3.0, that's a next level kind of game where people are trading JPEGs for a living. If you think about it, where the hottest job in 2021 is owning JPEGs, trading JPEGs, and making so much more money than their parents could have ever thought of at 20 years old, if you think about it, where maybe playing games and spending all your times playing games could make you a very, very decent living, if not a very significant income. And even as a creator, if you think about it, all the music, all the art that you're going to make can now be digitally owned and tagged to you. And as you set the rules of selling it or transferring it to people that are going to buy your original work, you get paid for it and you can build communities around it. And I think that is the new wave of work that we've only just begun to consider what the impact of it. We've seen a bit of it with YouTube, with TikTok in Web 2.0, but in Web 3.0, it's certainly a whole new arena where the notion of a traditional job or the aspirations of young people might not be anywhere similar to what the previous generations were used to. And I think that's going to definitely give a very interesting cultural, social, economic shifts in the kind of conversations our kids would be having with us about what they want to do with their time when they finish school or in the midst of school. So that's how we think about it.
And that Carl, you brought up a very good point, because as the youth start, I mean the new generation, basically the way that they make money, the way that they spend their time and create contents online and deal having transactions online, all these are come into play, and of course with these new methodologies, in especially in the crypto space, and a definite being it more being widespread. The question for Director Mel would be, do you see that cryptocurrency as a being more widespread in the future, and especially if regulations for it can be developed, why and why not?
Yeah, thanks, Edison. Actually, based on available statistics in the BSP, we have really seen growing in terms of the volume and value of virtual asset transactions. So there's really growing acceptance and adoption. And we can attribute that. There are a lot of factors, but I think regulatory certainty is one of the major driving forces. Back in 2017, Philippines was one of the first country to have adopted a regulatory framework for virtual asset. And right now there are close to, I think, 40 jurisdictions right now that have also issued their own rules and regulations. So aside from regulatory certainty, I think other factors that are driving driving the usage of greater adoption of virtual asset, of course, is the shift of customer preference to in favor of digital channels. We can also attribute to let's say we can also attribute it to availability of more use cases, and of course the prevalence of more competitive and customer-centric products and services, of course, which are supported by virtual assets.
Definitely, Director Mel, and with the way that the digital landscape has changed, Jay, where do you see the youth in terms of how do you see how would you perceive that the youth sees money nowadays in this change of digital landscape?
It's actually very interesting because we know that there's a lot of unemployed youth right now, and they're always looking for ways to make money. They have a lot of free time right now, and I think that's also the reason why the Axie Infinity became so big, and other NFT games became so big in the Philippines because of the free time that's given by the pandemic. I think this will create this new wave of people that will use the digital currency, and we've seen these waves happen since 2012. Different waves are coming, and they will also bring innovation as well into this industry, because they're probably gonna create their own games, and they're probably gonna create other products that we haven't thought of. And I'm very optimistic that Filipinos will be able to create unique products that are using the blockchain and virtual currency.
Yes, Jay, definitely. And uh, 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 a question for Nichelle is that, well, being a parent myself, this concerns a lot of parents. What are your thoughts on purchasing being accessible to children? Example, kids buying or upgrades or accessories on games like Roblox, which my son also plays. How does this affect their views on money and financial assets?
I'm probably one of the non-parents on the call, but certainly it's very exciting, right? If you I don't know if you had seen the documentary Social Dilemma, which really tackles the impact of technology on the development of our youth. I wouldn't say that it's alarming, but I will say that there are very serious issues that need to be uncovered. I think um, uh, before this proliferation of technology, it was very easy for parents to protect their children, right? Like we can just limit things. We can put PG, we can put restricted on content that they consume. We can prevent our children from going outside of the house if we think that there are bad actors out there. But today it's different. It's a different world. Everything is accessible via device. And we want things to be accessible because that's how the new generation is coming to learn, grow, and have an appreciation of the world. But certainly, speaking for the crypto space and also investing in general, there are very serious investor protection and consumer protections that need to be in place, particularly for kids. There have been instances when teens have or school children even um, uh, uh, undergoing depression because they lost money on something like Robinhood or even taking their lives. Now, this is a very serious concern that with I guess the development of new regulation or the enforcement of existing regulation on these big players can help solve. But certainly, as technology grows, more issues come up, and we have to keep thinking of innovative ways to protect not just our youth but the market at large.
Definitely, Nichelle. And this takes a whole village, right, between the private sector and the public sector to really safeguard the future of our children and at the same time provide an environment where they can prosper and grow. So just to go around the panel, what tech advancements do you think the next generation wants when it comes to payments, trading, or gaming? All right. So maybe back to Carl. Start with Carl.
Well, I think to that question, I go back to the creators again. I think if you think about Spotify, for example, and Philippines is really a ecosystem of musicians where there's so many local artists, and most of them don't make any money at all from their creations. They earn cents, having tens of thousands of streams, and I think this is really a layer of progress that they would definitely want to see. All types of creators would want to see in being able to commission original work that can be monetized from their communities, that can be the ownership can be verified through blockchain, that they can actually continue to create the original works because they're incentivized to do so. Instead of having to get a real job, they can now focus on more creations. And I think that comes with clearer regulatory standards within the ecosystem globally. I think that comes with also platforms being able to help them facilitate such transactions across the industry. I think it's also the platforms that are widely used, the mass usage, the mass adoption of such platforms, for example, for NFTs, buying and selling marketplaces. I think that development is certainly one that's extremely exciting. We've seen it happen in gaming. We've seen it happen with the artists that are coming up with a lot of these drops and forming these communities. I think as we continue to see the creative ecosystem develop, that's going to be one big thing to look out for, especially in the Philippines, simply because there's such a big creative community. And I think certainly some of the best work that we'll see out of Asia will come from the Philippines. And I think it's really up to a lot of the guys on this panel to make that a reality for the creators.
And with the progressiveness, we cannot have this progressiveness without the backing of our regulators. So, Director Mel, what do you have to say in terms of helping the tech advancements in when it comes to payments, trading, or gaming?
Yeah, I think on the part of the regulator, are you referring to the technology or how the regulators can help? Sorry.
Yeah, yes, sir. So, with regards to how the tech industry in general can benefit, or how the regulators can help us progress even
Yeah,
further and be competitive in
yeah.
across the world.
Yeah, I think Michelle mentioned about responsible innovation. The BSP has always been espousing responsible innovation. I mean, it's not just regulating; it's also making sure that the different sectors are able to take advantage of the benefits of innovative solutions, and at the same time, they should be able to demonstrate that they are capable of managing the risk associated with all of these use cases. So that would probably help us all in sustaining all of these digitalization efforts.
Yes, and in terms of the collaboration between the regulators and the private industry, it's imperative that we have an open communication, right, and
Yeah,
open channel with all players, and making sure that we not only follow the regulation, but we also self-regulate when it comes to the ecosystem, to
yeah.
have a healthy and thriving financial ecosystem. Jay, do you have any more inputs also on this last question?
Yeah, yes, thank you. I think the industry will still be there, even if the regulations don't exist, but they will be in the black market. They will not be transparent to the government, and I think it's very helpful that we give transparency into the market, to protect the consumers, and to protect and also to make the innovation much safer. Um, because we've observed when we started, people are, for example, buying and selling cryptocurrencies, and a lot of people get scammed, and so we started our business as a way to support this growing transaction volume, um, and to make it safer and, of course, more transparent for the government, so that it's easier to track, to prevent money laundering from taking place in cryptocurrency market. And aside from that, we're also helping, we provide a cybersecurity platform where we help other fintech companies and other MSMEs to secure their system via our platform that helps them detect vulnerabilities. So if you integrate with us, if you become our client, then we also check if there are vulnerabilities into the system.
And with vulnerabilities ever been more exposed through the likes of cyber crimes and
Yes,
hacking?
there are more
That's
cyber crimes that's happening because the transaction volume is growing, and I think the NBI said it, due to the pandemic, during the pandemic, the cyber crimes increased by about 70%, and
wow.
that's big, and that means we need more people to safeguard the consumers.
Is that in line with worldwide stats, or it's it's just the Philippines that's 70%?
It's happening worldwide because the pandemic helped to make more transactions go digital, and more transactions online, then there will be more cyber crimes.
Definitely. And with that, what are can you tell us a bit more about your organization's initiatives in promoting the whether it be security, or whether it be the way that monies are transactions are made nowadays, payments, trading, or gaming? Nichelle, let's start with Nichelle.
Yeah. Well, perhaps before I begin, I also want to harken back to Carl's earlier point about use cases driving this, and also touch a little bit on what Director Mel said. I think in our discussions thus far, the regulatory landscape has featured quite prominently. But I also want to underscore that it's not also just the regulator that's driving the innovation agenda. We don't, regulate for regulating's sake. We look at use cases, we see if they're valuable to the marketplace, and then we create rules around ensuring that they are activities being done in a safe environment. I am very excited about a lot of the innovations that are yet to come. As Carl said earlier, yes, we're seeing a lot of young kids these days flipping JPEGs, practically just uh, 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 mundane art that's being flipped for millions of pesos, and people are making a lot of money. But you see, this technology is so groundbreaking that you can actually use it to power many other things, right? So I love the use case that was shared earlier about music, right? Like music has been an industry where it's always the record labels that are making most of the value, or these days it's the likes of Spotify or Pandora capturing a lot of value. But with something like an NFT music, for example, that takes in gas from a listener, and then pays the creator or the artist directly. What we're seeing here is barter markets 2.0, right? Like, or barter markets in the way that we have not seen since before centralized markets. So there's definitely a lot of excitement there, and we as players in the ecosystem. So PDAX is one of the licensed exchanges. We mainly transact in cryptocurrencies today. But eventually, we do see ourselves serving other use cases as well. And when that time comes, perhaps it is also not just the BSP as the only regulator that's being affected by all this change, but we should see a lot of new consumer protection frameworks come into place. It might be a regulatory body that we've not seen yet, but thus far, I think that the fact that we have not regulated or restricted technology per se, but rather just made sure that we regulate the use cases, have served us well in terms of bringing innovation to the fore.
Thank you, Nichelle. And what's next for PDAX? I mean, any exciting news you want to share with us in the coming months or for 2022?
Certainly, I think it's there are practically a multitude of things that anybody in the digital asset space can pursue right now. Mainly, we're seeing a lot of participation in the DeFi space. People who hold a lot of crypto but then want to make that crypto earn for them. Certainly, it's gonna be very beneficial for the economy, right? Because if capital is locked or capital is kept idle, then it's not creating value for the rest of the economy. So we are very interested in looking at ways for Filipinos to deploy that idle capital safely as security. And we're also looking to expand our support for initiatives that have to do with the metaverse, right, including play to earn. The metaverse is not it's not as a nonsensical concept as it was like 5 years ago, because today we do have the technology to create virtual representations of the world in that metaverse, and we believe that a lot of economic activity will be done in the metaverse in the years to come, and we hope to be in a position to help individuals access those services.
And what an exciting time to be in. Would you say so, Director Mel? And what's any upcoming exciting news you have to share with the audience for
No, no.
Central Bank?
Yeah. I think on the part of the BSP, we will continue to be vigilant, agile, and of course open-minded to not only new ways of thinking but also new ways of doing things. So we will, I mean, rest assured that the BSP will be your partners when it comes to responsible innovation.
Thank you, Director Mel. And for Carl, what's next for Hapmil Media Group?
Well, for us, we're really taking a deep dive into how to help some of the esports and gaming teams in the Philippines, especially to think about monetization. I think there's a whole bunch of creators in this space right now that have decided that this is a path they want to pursue, but are struggling financially and maybe are playing Axie Infinity as a side gig to get some income. I think there's a lot of opportunities to further develop the gaming space, not just with crypto, because that's 3.0. Just starting at 2.0, I think getting brands involved, getting the industry further, I think within the ecosystem. Philippines is a country that is ripe for monetization for some of these guys. And I think that's the agenda we're pushing for before we even start talking to players to think about 3.0. I think we want to get the industry further developed. And that's the big focus for us this year and the rest of 22.
Thank you, Carl. And Jay, what's any exciting news you have to share with the audience for
Yeah,
Moneybee?
of course, for us, we're continuously growing our partners nationwide here in the Philippines. We're also talking to different platforms where we can integrate cryptocurrencies so that they accept cryptocurrency. And yeah, that's basically what we're doing now. We're just
Thank you,
growing.
Jay. Great. Yeah, thank you. And any, I would like to ask the panel for your final thoughts before I turn it over to Amor. Let's start with Director Mel. Can we hear your?
Yeah. Thanks, Edison, and to the organizers. Thanks for inviting me in this very productive session. And for us, we have witnessed remarkable transformation in the digital finance ecosystem, and we actually look forward to seeing or to witnessing not only the financial sector but even other industries harness the power of technology in order to improve the lives of their customers and of course other stakeholders. And we are also excited to see how this ever evolving landscape will shape the future of money.
Thank you so much, Director Mel. We are equally excited as well. Carl, may we have your final thoughts?
Sure. I think a lot has been covered in this panel, and there's certainly a rapid wave of innovation that's right around the corner. I think the acceleration of such innovation in Web 3.0 will come really, really quickly, much quicker than what we saw in 2.0 with the social media platforms. And that's something that is going to be extremely exciting. As we discussed earlier as well, some traditional notions of what we have held true as like jobs, for example, is going to be eroded in many, many ways. And new careers, new opportunities, new skill sets are going to be involved and much needed in Web 3.0. And I think that's extremely exciting because it's a level playing field if you think about it. Everybody starts educating themselves from the same plane, and we're really just at the tip of the iceberg, and it's really just about to begin. And I think that's tremendously exciting for all of us in this space. So if you're interested, if this is something that has inspired you, I think now's the best time to get on board.
Web 3.0, the great equalizer, yeah? All right, so let's have Jay, and then lastly by Nichelle. Yeah, thank you.
Obviously, the volume of transaction here in the Philippines is growing, and we're very happy to support that growth. Our volume for the past few years have continuously exponentially growing, and we're just working very hard to make sure that we make this as transparent as possible for the regulators and also to make it safer for our consumers. And yeah, we're continuously also evolving our platform so that we can detect vulnerabilities as fast as possible and solve these vulnerabilities.
Definitely, Jay. And vulnerabilities are everywhere, and that as the growth of as we approach the Web 3.0, definitely that's something that needs to be very much addressed by both the security side and also the regulation side. So lastly, we have Nichelle. Your final thoughts?
Thank you, Edison. Certainly, I echo the sentiments of my esteemed co-panelists here. There is a lot of excitement in all of this, and but probably I cannot understate the excitement simply because we have been transacting with what we might call now as old money since ancient civilizations, and now that we have the technology to redefine money, this is not so much just the future of money. This is actually the future of everything, right? We're going to see new products, new use cases come out into the market because of this new money. And we're also going to see new ways of interacting with the world, both digital and real. So yes, so I'll emphasize that point that by innovating more towards the future of money, we're actually building the future of pretty much everything today.
And what an exciting future to be in. This was definitely an interesting discussion, and I wish that we had all the time in the world to talk about it. We have to say goodbye for now, however, but before that, I would like to thank all our reactors for sharing their thoughts and opinions with us today. It was truly a joy moderating, and I'm sure our audience enjoyed it very much as well. To close the panel, let's hear a few words from Ms. Amor Maclan.
Thank you so much to everyone here. Combination of both old friends in the industry and also new friends. This particular panel, I'm not so much closing, but rather recapping things that we can do in Digital Pilipinas moving forward. This particular panel has really been what I term as the fabulous four: gaming, the new asset classes, blockchain, and of course, the secret sauce to why the Philippines has been successful the way it has is regulation. So Nichelle, interestingly enough, you echoed the importance of the narrative of money, whether old or new. You know, in olden times, gold was associated with royalty, and there were use cases, more use cases. So in this era, we are challenged to create more use cases for the new asset classes in a manner that is done correctly and with governance. And that is what Digital Pilipinas endeavors to do. Mid part of this year, just before the launch of our advocacy, we were in the thick of supporting NFT artists, and I'm a proud owner myself, because it's not only redefining money, but the way we create and own things. Esports and gaming, I've been extremely vocal about it. We want to find ways by which we can put the Philippines in the map. For me, the reason why Korea is because of the awesome work. You think it's K-pop, but really, guys, it's gaming. It's their gaming culture and the way the government and the community has supported them. So maybe esports and gaming could be a way for us, while working closely with regulators proactively. And this is probably something, Director Mel, that we will do differently compared to the crypto and the ICO spring of 2017. Is we are going to very proactively work with you guys to ensure that we all become good actors in this space, unlike in 2017 where it was quite hit and miss. In the case of regulators, some of our speakers talked about, why does it just have to be the BSP that creates such an enabling environment? Well, I'm happy to note that many of the partners of Digital Pilipinas, from the DOF to DTI, even the National Privacy Commission, the DICT, are all in agreement that the great successes that you guys have done over in the payment space with the BSP, we are going to steal We're going to steal that concept and bring the test and learn and the sandbox approach to many other national line agencies. Underpinning all of this, of course, is money, right? So this is the show us the money panel. Now, at the same time, we cannot forget why these new asset classes could truly be a lever for inclusive prosperity. Nichelle, I remember early part of this year, we were talking about the topography of crypto in the country, and there seems to be such a high prevalence of usage in the Mindanao area, specifically in the Muslim area. And a lot of this is because they've traditionally and historically felt that they've been excluded from the financial ecosystem. And because of blockchain technology, we are able to separate the haram from the halal, and we will continue our advocacy in areas that have the highest uptake and where we can create inclusivity the most. So we would please, Mindanao, expect more Digital Filipinas outreach from us. Last but not the least, like I said, this is really the Fab Four that will create a new ecosystem, new asset classes coming into fore, and redefining the way we work and the way we store and create value. Nichelle said the excitement could not be understated. I thought it was just me having too much coffee, but really, this is the time of the Philippines to be in the map, and there has never been a better time to be in this space and to be Filipino. Maraming salamat, partner Edison. Back to you.
Maraming salamat, Omar. What a great message to have. And also this afternoon has been a wonderful discussion on how we bring the concept of new money forward, especially to the youth. And again, thank you to all our esteemed speakers, industry leaders, and regulator, especially to Director Mel. And thank you, Carl, Nichelle, and Jay, for your wonderful insights. It has been an amazing day of discussion about fintech, e-commerce, cybersecurity, and digitization. So thank you so much. Maraming salamat. Till next time.